Hello and good morning. I hope you're all having an exceptionally average day. So today I'm going to be discussing how disasters can come in a plethora of variations, from natural catastrophes such as tsunamis, hurricanes, and locusts, or from man-made catastrophes such as economic nadirs, ethical atrocities, and nuclear power plant meltdowns. These disasters carry with them a connotation of inevitability, with the astral portion of the word disaster coming from a 16th century Italian meaning star, referring to the unavoidability of the events as if it is written in the stars. This is in large part due to the grandiose scale of these events and the unwavering repetition of these disasters throughout history. Despite these factors, humans have made large strides to mitigate the devastation caused by disasters, whether this be by creating infrastructure such as underground flood water diversion facilities or by educating the public in what the proper conduct is during these disasters. Nevertheless, these mitigating initiatives usually occur after a disaster has already taken place, which is a devastating flaw within the disaster management cycle. This cycle is predicated on the populace firstly being afflicted by a disaster, rebuilding the lost property, and then contemplating the possibility of mitigating future disasters of a similar nature. Additionally, this mitigation is contingent on the liability of certain organizations and the government from similar disasters in the future, outweighing the present costs in financial and mental capital that would go into the mitigation of the future disasters. This flood cycle has led to a plethora of recurring disasters with equal or greater devastation in their wake. There is, nevertheless, a way to fix the cycle, which is by completely throwing out the cycle. The cycle does not exist in the same extent as it does today when certain predictive measures are put in place, with the predictive measures differing with their respective category of disastrous events. There has been a multitude of instances where credible disaster predictions that could have negated their respective disaster cycles were not heeded, since there was no administrative support for such claims at their given time. The 1986 Challenger Space Shuttle disaster had occurred despite a lead engineer, Roger Boisjoli's, objection to the safety of the launch, due to the repeating foam runoff, which after extensive research after the disaster had been proven to be the culprit of the disaster. The same can be seen when observing the Hurricane Katrina disaster, and how Ivor Van Heerden, the former deputy director of the Louisiana State University Hurricane Center, had previously stated that the New Orleans levees would not hold during a serious hurricane, which was quite likely to happen on the lower east coast of America. Nevertheless, despite a flurry of attempts to inform the proper organizations such as the Civil Engineering Society and the state and federal government, it was dismissed since the liability did not outweigh the resources needed to address the predicted issue. There are, however, groups, organizations, and nations that are beginning to realize this flaw and are taking various steps to predict the next disaster instead of preparing to mitigate the damage when it already happens. There are many promising signs of turning tides, as in 2006 there was the Third International Conference on Early Warning, hosting a group of dozens of nations showing global support. These nations and other factions are attempting to take vast past and current data sets and pass them through a disaster possibility filter in order to predict when one might occur. They are approaching this from a variety of ways, from think tanks, pattern recognition algorithms, citizen participation, data collection, and many others. These methods open many intriguing possibilities in the field of disaster management, as well as in many other fields, such as the legal fields. For instance, will these factions be held accountable for the loss of life and property if they incorrectly predict a disaster, or if they fail to predict it at all? These types of situations are not far-flung futuristic scenarios. They are beginning to be quite pressing contemporary issues, as with the case of the L'Aquila earthquake. The earthquake devastated central Italy in 2009, killing over 300 people. 6 scientists and a government official had been sentenced to 6 years in prison for manslaughter. The logic behind Judge Marco Billi's ruling was that the National Commission for the Forecast and Prevention of Major Risks team issued reports which lulled the public into a false sense of security prior to the 6.3 magnitude quake. In his ruling, Billy claimed that the defendants circulated inexact, incomplete, and contradictory information about the risk of the earthquake. These issues are becoming more and more apparent as time progresses. Since the progress of humanity throughout history has directly led to the progress of more disasters, in quantity and in type. The possibility of nuclear Armageddon, cities burning in wildfire in Western America, in addition to massive groundwater droughts that will devastate the American West agriculture, steadily rising sea levels causing mass flooding, creating millions of displaced persons, which will cause their own socioeconomic disasters as they are forced to migrate. And there are still the ever-looming mass natural disasters such as extreme mass coronal ejections from the sun, which could devastate the technological world we have grown to rely on. These are all just a handful of the possible and probable disasters humanity will need to face within the future. But if the same cycle of disaster management is still employed then as it is today, there might not be an option for rebuilding section of the cycle. Nevertheless, certain factions dedicated to disaster prediction will become the vanguard of disaster management, as they will be able to essentially make the